What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stochastic here on the Odd Chopper channel, coming to you with a Thursday Imperial edition of MLB. Lindy's leans, likes, and locks. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Goes a long way for me on this video. Goes a long way for you. That way you become apprised of our great content is going live here at a little neck of the YouTube woods. Imperial, kind of a joke there. What this is a code red. And what do I mean by a code red? Well, if you tuned into this program last year, there were six times that I recommended a double dong. 3 of those times, Lord Calrali, Kyle Schwarber, and the famous Corey Seager all went double dong for us. 3 of 6, 50%. Now, that's an unsustainable number, but I've been excited for the moment where it actually made sense to make a 2 home run play again. And this is not the person that you're probably expecting it to be, because I think by expectation standards, like, he set the bar pretty high, and I think he's underperformed this season, but this is a spot where he could break out, and I think the prices are in our favor at open. So who am I talking about? Stay tuned, find out. You're not going to want to go anywhere. It's a code red, baby. We have a double dong on the card, as well as a regular dong. People like those too. It's how you use it, right? Promo code Lindy5, friends. That's the premium Discord. You guys can head down below here. We're going to go through the leans. We're going to go through the likes. We're going to talk through all the ins and outs of the slate, but I want to get this out here on the front end because I'm producing. Producer Eric, let's get to the picks. Yeah. But anyway, $5 for your first week. We had a nice parlay there with Togman and Teal. Yes, that's a real person. 5-hole catcher for the White Sox. And then Andrew Benintendi, who goes yard in the first inning, covered it. Probably the fastest 3-leg, 1.5 hits plus runs plus RBI parlay you'll ever see in your life, nearly plus 500. End up hitting that for the people, 25 into 150. Felt like a great start to the day here. We've had a couple of interesting breaks. Maybe Yamamoto doesn't come back out. A surprise rain delay there in Colorado. I ended up on under 6.5 strikeouts there. Fired that up. Premium Discord's pretty happy with me. I mean, you can't possibly be in the Discord right now over the course of the last couple days or last couple weeks or last 2 months for sure and not be happy with me. Hell, NBA was an absolute smash front to back, but we also have the MLB full out rocking. If you've been tuning into this program and you've enjoyed it, $5 for your first week, less than $1 a day. Plus, there's some entertaining characters in there right now. Yeah, Connor 19, fuck you. But I love you. But fuck you. But love you. Go team. Also, 19 is my favorite number. Just wanted to throw that out there. So we're friends. Anyway, let's get to the play, shall we? Oh, we got double dong coming your way. Oh, yeah, I forgot to move that. We should probably get better at just remembering that because you're a producer now, Eric. Lindy's leans, that's what we're going to start with. And I'm going to talk about these pretty quickly because you know what you want to get to. You want to get to what the hell I'm talking about in the double dong category. So we will do that. We're going to start, though, with the Minnesota Twins taking on Seattle here in this spot. We got Hancock versus Woods Richardson. And, well, there's 2 games that also start at the same time, but they're both plays on the card. So 1:10 p.m. Eastern time, 10 a.m. Pacific time. You're going to want these plays in ahead of time. And then, well, the double dong comes up an hour later. But we've got that other game, Seattle, Minnesota, Hancock versus Woods Richardson. I think this is a good spot for maybe Minnesota to get off the schneid even further. Hey, we won a baseball game. Woo, celebrate. We're still under 500 again. I mean, this has been the most irrational baseball season I can remember as a Twins fan, but irrational to look at anything here on the Mariners side and not think that their offense is drastically better with Cal Raleigh in the middle of it. Now, Byron Buxton's been a god for us as well, but it hasn't necessarily mattered. And Woods Richardson, 357 xWOBA. Put that next to Hancock's 361 xWOBA. It's weird that the over didn't even really pop for me that much, but the wind's blowing in slightly there, it looks like, in Target Field. I will confirm that tomorrow morning because I'll be up early in the morning getting more plays in. Phillies taking on Houston here, under 7.5. This one doesn't surprise me at all, but this is popping in this. What does surprise me is it's not a play with 2 of the best pitchers you could possibly have on the mound in Christopher Sanchez and Hunter Brown. And Christopher Sanchez, 4 kids, and I got to take all of that ass to showbiz. 297 xWOBA, 285 xWOBA for Hunter Brown. I mean, that's kind of like a staple of what I do when I'm pitcher projecting just for the future. It's expected numbers, but specifically, that is such an important metric to me. And there's just enough leeway with Christopher Sanchez taking on all these righties and a short porch out to left in Houston. I know it's looked really good. Again, another 1-0 game there currently in the 8th inning, probably going to close 1-0 again. That would be wild. Back-to-back 1-0s by Houston. That would be nuts. Contreras taking on Chicago there. And hey, shout out the Premium Discord and myself, I guess. Eric Fetty, we ended up on a ton of stolen base props there from the Cubs. What's sad is Michael Busch was not one of them at plus 1,900. That would have been absurd. But we got Kyle Tucker and we got our guy Matt Shaw. So those are 2 of the 5 plays that we had there, plus 300, plus 325. That is really nice profit and something pretty sharp there. When Pozo, I wanted to say Bozo, but when Pozo was catching, first time in a while, and new catcher with one of the most ridiculous numbers, Eric Fetty there, 15 stolen bases that he's had against him this season with just 2 caught stealings. That's a terrible ratio. It was nice to end up on the Cubbies there. I don't think you're going to want to go their direction here, but Contreras is kind of the interesting one. Shodi Imanaga, extreme fly ball pitcher who was giving up more hard contact, and he had home road splits last year because it was extremely favorable to be pitching in Chicago, in Wrigley Field last year with those wind conditions blowing in, a lot colder weather there in the summer. Kind of the inverse in June. This time around, we saw that Seattle ridiculousness. Yeah, we all did. But Contreras, not enough loft for him really to become like a signature play of this card. Teoscar Hernandez, however, I think you know by now, absolute lefty killer. Austin Gombra on the mound. I think this is going to be a very popular spot to be looking at Will Smith and Teoscar Hernandez. I think his opening numbers are going to be very muted compared to the last 2 days where you had Dollander, you had the other righty, Herman Marquez. No, it wasn't Marquez. It wasn't Marquez, not Senzatella. But now you're going to see Teoscar get some of that favorable money, and I'm worried about his home run numbers, so be cautious with it. As for Kershaw, he's never pitched well in Coors Field. I don't really care about that metric of it because, again, it's home road split, very loud sometimes, but it makes sense. Kershaw's not an overpowering pitcher. He relies on that curveball slider to really get swing and miss, and it's much more difficult at altitude. I think the Rockies side might be the more interesting one when it comes to home run props, but my data likes Teoscar Hernandez the most out of everybody, even though it's not an official play as of now. The over 7.5 there for Miami and San Francisco. I think you just want to run for the hills to some extent with this one because this game with Junk, this Junk character, his name is Jansen Junk, and Hayden Birdsong, who I think is going to have a tough time getting swing and miss against this version of the lineup. Yes, the conversion from him back into a starter has gone well so far, but I'm a little bit worried. But my favorite of everything on your board actually comes from the Braves and Mets. I really like Griffin Canning. He has splits where he's got around a 24% K rate against lefties and an 18% K rate against righties. Now, I'm anticipating 5 lefties / switch hitters with Ozzie Albies in there, and 4, Nick Allen at the backhand, then 9, like that's basically irrelevant to me. But Griffin Canning, I think, has sneaky upside for strikeouts in this spot. Not something that you're going to see in your everyday Discord. Speaking of Discord, let's get out of the lanes, get to some plays, and let's get to that double dong, shall we? Lindy 5, just throwing it up on the screen one more time for you so I don't have to do it the rest of the show. Plus, again, I'm the producer. I can do whatever I want. Effort, we'll do it live. That was quick. Alrighty, y'all, to the plays we go. This is not your double dong. Athletics taking on Detroit, and I'm a little frustrated because we got 3-0 on the over in that spot. Now, I won't complain too much. Detroit, they end up cashing the run line there after being down 4-2. They were down 2-0 in the first, then 4-2 in the second there with a Clark homer when the skewball pitching was going down on Tuesday. So Wednesday, folks got a little bit of that money back from me. But you know what? Overall, it's been too good to deny, and Detroit's been too good to deny. And I don't really see this Oakland bullpen being able to hold up. Oakland, I knew I was going to do it. Sacramento, if you will. The Athletics bullpen is not one that I really like here unless the game gets competitive and you have Oakland up going down towards the end of it. But Jeffrey Springs, I generally like him, but he is a fly ball pitcher. It is hot and humid and stormy up in Detroit, it looks like. 418 expected slugging. It's not crazy, but a sub 20% K rate. And I do think some of these lefties just have way too much power in Kerry Carpenter and Riley Green to really deny them an opportunity here against Jeffrey Springs. But Detroit on the other side, Dietrich Enns. This guy hasn't pitched since 2021 in the big leagues, and it took me a lot of time to go through. Don't think he's long for this one, but he's just throwing like 55, 60% usage on a four-seamer that isn't very good. And now he's going to get like a spot start here, and then it's a lot of Detroit pen. I know this is the team first to 50 wins in baseball, but I like myself. the over of 8.5 there. Ooh, I got so excited. I wanted to keep it going. But next up here on our boarding walk, we got Toronto and Cleveland. And hang on one second. Am I going to actually answer the phone with my mother here on this program? I don't think I can do that. I got to also grab these out of the trash. Zach Morris is trash. Got to add some overlays. Again, this is the beautiful stuff of like producing it live. But hey, we've got a cool red background today, I guess. I love you, producer Jacob. Anyway, Toronto taking on Cleveland. Now I can talk about this because I'll call my mom back after this. I love her very much. I'm still mad at my dad for hitting like a no-vig parlay. What are we even doing here, Dad? But whatever. We've got Kevin Gausman taking on Tanner Bybee, and this is the inverse of what I just talked about, where I felt very confident about the over, but this is more of just like the data likes the over. So Kevin Gausman, you got a lot of lefties that you got to deal with. And when you look at some splits for Kevin Gausman, ironically enough, the splitter, his main usage, 4.61 ERA is higher than his 3.90 expected ERA. But look at the lefties that he's going to have to deal with. And he's got a 1.07 whip to them, but 8 homers allowed in a ballpark in Progressive that just is awesome for lefty power. Yeah, this is going to get worrisome. I think Kyle Manzardo looks really good and probably going to be undervalued. I know David Fry probably not going to be in that lineup, and you always have the pinch hit risk that exists there. So keep that in mind when you're playing some of these props on the Cleveland side and he's involved. But yeah, I do think you got to jump on this over purely because Tanner Bybee not going to be my favorite back in any way, shape, or form. Now, do his numbers look all right so far this season? Absolutely. 37.5% hard hit. 27.5 would be ridiculous. But only a 20.3% K rate and a team in Toronto that really isn't going to strike out a ton. Looking like more favorable hitting weather here today than what we had in like mid 70s there in Cleveland for what it was 82 at first pitch. Got a little cooler, but humidity is going to be north of 70% tomorrow. And again, it's one of those things that at first glance, I couldn't believe it, but we are on the over of 7.5. I find it very advantageous. In fact, if you want to parlay those two overs together, that would be awesome. Oh, you know what? I'm going to put it up on the screen one time just to break it up and make it clean before we get to the double dong. You probably could have eliminated the other games and figured out where I'm going to go to some extent with this. But if you guys want to get all of my plays for tomorrow, it's going to be an early, fast slate in the morning. I'll probably go hit golf balls in the afternoon. Let's be dead serious. But Lindy 5 would love to have you guys there. Welcome to the main event. The Tampa Bay Rays taking on the Kansas City Royals. Now, the last 2 days, pretty sharp, I feel like. Looking at Tampa being able to just dominate. Drew Rasmussen went nutty in 5 innings and everything came to fruition. He got pulled a little bit earlier than anticipated. The closing line value we got on under 2.5 runs yesterday, especially like on Prize Picks where it was just straight up. Minus 185, minus 195 on the under of 2.5. Well, he gives up 0. That was lovely. It felt very sharp. But here's the but. I'm looking at the exact inverse tomorrow. I'm in love with Kansas City against Shane Baz. Let's go through a little bit of a tour. Again, this is the main event of your day and probably the main event of this show so far, because if he can get this done for us and be the first on the first bet, it's technically my second double dong bet. I had 0.1 units. I think it was like Ben Rice, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. This will be a quarter unit double dong play and probably a half unit when it's all said and done. And I see all of the opening numbers at all of the books for tomorrow. But Shane Baz, let's walk through it. He's a guy who is giving up crazy amounts of righty home runs. Now, against lefties, he has a higher fly ball rate, 40.6% in fact. That is up there, friends, but just a 12.8% home run to fly ball ratio there. He also gets a lot more soft contact against lefties, 20.8%. But now here we flip it to the right side. Let's take a look. 54.7% ground ball percentage is technically pretty darn good, but when he gets hit, it gets hit hard. He has only an 8.6% soft percentage against righties, which again, isn't here or there. We're looking for the hard hits. We are looking for what is it going to be at the tippy top of the range. 35.7% hard hit percentage to any ball in play against righties. And that's off of Fangraphs, which is generally going to be a little bit lower of a grade than what we get over on Baseball Savant. Now, you take a look at Baseball Savant and it kind of echoes what I'm saying, but almost on crack. Now, Shane Baz, 10-degree launch angle, that isn't super high, but there is Kauffman Stadium, Wind blowing out 10 to 12 miles per hour out to left field. That's existed the last 2 days, but it's been awesome pitchers who were dominant against righties the last 2 days. And Taj Bradley and then Mr. Drew Rasmussen, 0.76 whip yesterday. Talked about that in depth. But Shane Baz, 19.6% home run to fly ball ratio against righties. That is way up there, friends. He also is just getting annihilated against them. And I get it. He plays in a smaller ballpark, AAA ballpark there, day in, day out at home. And on the road, Kauffman is not known for its home runs, but that's kind of where we're going to be getting our value from. He's given up 9 home runs against righty hitters this season, 5 against lefties, so it's not like he's been immune against them either. But Bobby Witt Jr. is the guy tomorrow. Bobby Witt only has 10 home runs on the season. It has been, quote unquote, disappointing for a guy who last year, 32 jacks. I went in depth on it. Obviously, you play more games on the front end of the All-Star break than you do on the tail end of the All-Star break. So we'd like to see him at a better pace if you're a Kansas City fan right now. Friends, 15.2 degree launch angle, 93.5 exit velocity off the bat, 520 expected slugging, and only an 18% K rate. You got to try to get strikeouts against Bobby Witt right now because, well, that's 3% higher than he had last season at 15% during a ridiculous tear. But Bobby Witt Jr. is way undervalued in the marketplace. I have his break-even number at minus, that'd be ridiculous. Well, minus would be on the underside of it for what it's worth, but plus 235 to hit a homer tomorrow. He is way north of that in the marketplace. And the double dong is going to come with it. So half unit play here when it's all said and done. I only have a quarter for right now, but Bobby Witt Jr., home run. I have the 2 home run question mark. No, we removed the question mark. It's out of the question for us. Bobby Witt Jr. gets 2. He is going to add 2 to his 10 total tomorrow, friends. Get your popcorn ready and don't sleep on Sal Perez for what it's worth. Although Sal Perez is going to probably be the guy who double dongs now that I even said that. Probably going to have him as a homer for what it's worth. But Kansas City against Shane Baz, righties, lefties, anybody with a pulse, but specifically those righties with those splits, I love it. Well, that's all she got, and that's all she wrote. Well, that does it for another edition of MLB Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. Head to the comment section below. Let me know your favorite plays that exist on the board for this slate we got on Thursday. Obviously, the code red, it was hit over on X, and, well, all of my home run plays every single day. Going to be fired up there. Well, not all of them, but going to be giving you around 4 freebies per day on Lindy's long balls. Ended up having Logan O'Hop refunded there. The other 4 here. Can Max Muncy go yard here after this rain delay? That would be lovely. Anyway, head to the premium Discord. Would love to have you there. Lots of new faces, lots of great people, and also dice have been hot. So let's keep that going. Until next time, friends, I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the MLB streets on Thursday. Oh, yeah, I got to hit the button.